Hello and welcome to today's live stream. It's going to be awesome. We're exploring automatic 3D scene optimization. And we have Ben with us from the development team who's going to kind of walk us through it. But before we get started, you guys know, Edmar, what announcements do we have for the community?
So there are a few things happening that are very cool. One of them just was announced the other day. We have a Set the Scene community challenge in progress right now, where you can actually send us your scene, post on social media with the hashtag Set the Scene. Let us know what tools you used, what apps, and the whole idea is like we'd love to see environment and landscapes. What kind of renders you're doing lately, and it doesn't have to be anything new. It could be something you did a while ago. So share that. We have a great channel in Discord where people are talking about it and showing stuff off already. Frank Shang submitted one today. Let me see. Yeah, I'll tell you what it is because you're going to want to see it. So he did a scene from Lord of the Rings.
Oh,
So really cool stuff. So we have that in the community challenges channel on our Discord server. The other thing that's happening is that we have a live stream, special live stream happening this Friday. So if you're a watcher and you are involved with education at all, like if you're a teacher, you work with the university and you're exploring Omniverse, we just released teaching kits that help you in your curriculum. So we're going to be talking to the people who put that stuff together. That's on Friday, and you can catch all these live stream dates on our live stream calendar, on the Ed event calendar, and also on our Discord events area in the upper left of Discord. Tells you what's coming up. That should be a great live stream. That's on Friday. So that's a special
absolutely.
event. And then not too far later this month, we have the big keynote at Computex, where Jensen will be speaking. We have a lot of people here working on this keynote right now. It's going to be awesome, as they always are. So come grab your popcorn. We'll probably do a watch party for it,
Oh,
actually.
yeah,
It's going to
yeah.
happen on a Sunday. Yes, maybe we'll do a watch party and people can hang out and we can watch it together. A lot of the content, even though a lot of people working on it, they're all working on different things. So very few people get to see the whole thing until it's live, including here at NVIDIA. So we're super excited. Yeah, and I think obviously, if you have a kind of suggestion for a future live stream, please let us know what you'd like to see, what you'd like to learn more of, so we can cover it. We're always super excited to bring the content that would be most helpful for what you are doing in your work. And speaking of making the most of your work, this stream topic is I think, going to be very helpful to everybody, right? Because who does not want to have an optimized scene? And
Yes.
cutting the bloat, making the most out of whatever GPU you have, and also just being able to do more with your existing scene. So a very, very warm welcome to Ben here from the NVIDIA team. Thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having
Do,
me.
do you want to tell us first? Why don't you tell us? So we're going to talk about scene optimization, but why don't you start by telling us a little bit about your role here in NVIDIA, what you focus on?
Sure. So I'm a principal developer here at NVIDIA, working on the Omniverse team, specifically on the scene optimizer tool. So I work with a bunch of other engineers where we're making all these operations and tools that users can use to help optimize their data on whatever it may be and whatever pipeline they may have. And so we're trying to make tools and a bunch of suite of tools and ways a part of this ecosystem to help across in a bunch of different industries and a bunch of different problem sets. And so it's been fun for us because we come from different backgrounds and we have different expertise, but a lot of the same problems pop up across different industries. And so it's been fun to see like, oh, what can we do and how can we help?
That's awesome. And just as a quick follow-up before we get started, so if people are watching, it's like, oh, wow, I have this issue that's a big bottleneck for us. How do you guys kind of get that feedback and kind of turn it into your priorities?
Usually when we're working with customers or user data or anything that someone may bring up, we have different kind of things we kind of look for and see if there's consistent things, because a lot of times there's usually a common thread across a lot of these things where people are trying to like, hey, I'm trying to load this like 20 gigabyte scene. Why isn't it working? Or how do I load, like a million prims and stuff. Like I've got super complicated data. How do I get this to work? And so we'll try to break down how they're creating their USDs, how they're creating their composition structure, their composition arcs, and see how we can do it at kind of like what programs are you using, how are you making this, kind of at the source to see if we can make recommendations or figure out how to help this user in this instance and their target area of where they're trying to get from point A to point B and say like, here's some options, and hopefully we can come up with some creative solutions.
That's awesome. Wendy and I have both seen our share of questions from the community on dealing with those kind of issues. So this is going to be a great live stream to point people to. So without further ado, do you want to get the party started and show what this is all about?
Sure, let's do it.
And again, for everyone watching, please feel free to post your question in the chat, and we'll take your questions at the right moments during the live stream, or like I said, we'll hang out afterwards on Discord.
Okay. Can you see that?
Yes, we can. Yep.
Cool.
Looks good.
Cool. So I have a slide presentation that I'm going to kind of quickly go through. I have a lot of detail in here. I'm not going to read everything off of it, but hopefully just to give an overview of kind of the extension and like the tool set and kind of some methodology behind some things. And then we'll jump into a live demo of a couple different scenes going over the tool sets. So that's me. I'm Ben. Hello. Today we're going to go over those things I just kind of showcased. We're going to go over the tools and operations. We're going to showcase the practical workflows and production data. At the end, kind of a thumbnail teaser here. We have a big scene from Equinor that we're using. It's an oil rig that was like super unoptimized that we're going to show some different processes that we've ran on it to help kind of improve load time and or print count and like memory usage or system usage, just to improve kind of your interactive experience with Omniverse and your scenes. So first, what is the scene optimizer? It's a kit extension that you can use in kind of multiple areas of Omniverse, right? We have different integrations. It's basically a bunch of different tools kind of within one tool where you can choose and pick your different operations that you want to run depending on your scene data. And you can use them in combination, and you can use them individually depending on what you're trying to achieve and do to manipulate your data, where you may or may not have the ability to do so in your source application, maybe such as like a CAD tool like Revit or some other DCCs that may not have the functionality that you're looking for in USD. This can be a good target tool for you. We also have the ability to create presets from this, which we save as a JSON that you can kind of share and configure and reuse and use also within, like if you're doing any CLI processing of these scenes, which can be quick when you're doing a bunch, or you can create your own service to run these in parallel or a bunch of different scenes depending on your kind of pipeline and setup. So we have a couple integrations for Scene Optimizer. Of course, we have the extension that is available within USD Composer, where we have the GUI window and you can interact with it. We'll showcase that. We also have a standalone tool that is available from the launcher, where you can basically call this tool just by itself, the needed dependencies, define your input, output, and your configuration file, and then it'll write out. I'll show an example of that. We also have direct integration to connectors into some of our Omniverse connectors. Currently, we have Revit, Creo, and Archicad, with more coming. Basically, it's we're trying to help do this at the kind of the source data level of where you would create your USD file, where we can have that integration work directly on there, so you don't kind of have to post-process again. It's available to you if you don't have control of kind of at the source scene and you're just kind of have your data coming in from wherever it may be, that you can have the ability here in the DCC to run the optimization, so it's just done once at export, and so you don't have to process again. And so we feel like that's a cool thing that we're wanting to integrate into and will help with all of the DCCs. So we're going to go over the process now. So here's a little teaser image of kind of the oil rig that we're going to show and how complex it can be. And think of this as like multiple of these, but this one is just one instance of this kind of assembly.
This is a pretty crazy assembly, by the way.
Oh, it's huge.
Who did this?
So we're going to go over the different processes here. So they're listed here on the left, and then we're going to go over the sample scene. I'm going to walk through each of these processes, kind of a bit in detail, showing you kind of the UI and kind of some tips and tricks to why you would choose certain things or not. And I'm not going to read everything off these because I try to give all the information in this, and I'm trying to put together another video tutorial that we're going to release that's going to have all of this in depth as well. So here we're going to start with the merge static mesh operation, which is a pretty common one where we will merge all of our meshes together depending on your inputs. Right, here's the UI window that you can see when you bring up this process. Here I'll just walk through kind of each scene optimizer process will have this kind of add your target meshes here that you want to process. And by default, if you leave that blank, we're going to operate over everything in your scene, kind of all of those targeted prims, specific prims if you're wanting. So we know it's a gprim, a geometry prim primitive from USD that we can understand. Oh, you're doing this from this process, we can do that. And so we have some logic built in to help with going, oh, okay, I'm going to do this for my entire scene. I don't have to do anything targeted. But if I want to do specifics and I want specific parenting or a parenting structure, that I can define those here in kind of like each of this UI window. For this particular one, we will do, when this is enabled for consider materials, we will merge based off of those groups of materials. So let's say I have a bunch of material or a bunch of prims that are attached to kind of one material and a bunch of other prims attached to another material. Those will be merged kind of by material. But if you want to merge everything down to kind of one prim, if you uncheck that, we'll just do like force merging on everything. You'll just get back one static mesh based off of those things. We'll also have the option to create geometry subsets if that's what you desire, or meshes, depending on what you're wanting out of this, depending on the merging site. And that's kind of how we handle mesh handling later. The next one is compute display colors. So we have the option here that we can insert into the USD from deriving from the material that we'll query those inputs there to get values to display for your prim, because each USD object you can put these attributes into them. This can be helpful in a few different ways depending on what you're using and some other processes that we have. If you want to not attach materials to your meshes, you can. And then you can use just the color inputs, which can save on some shader compilation and some memory and some rendering and some other components. Can be super helpful there. It just depends on what you're trying to achieve. And additionally, it's also just an additional fallback if you don't have kind of rendering for the material or for the bound material to your render delegate. Can be helpful as there as well. Here we give options within all of our processes to say, how do you want to deal with the original prims that we have that we're operating over? Do you want to keep them? Do you want to delete them? Do you want to deactivate them? Do you want to hide them? We give that option up to you to see however you want to handle those things, and depending on how destructive or non-destructive you want to be with your stage and how you want to save that out to make new layers and to save those as you see fit. So hopefully that can help you there. Merge boundary is kind of the same thing of where we're going to iterate over our target prims of where we're going to go within the stage. So wherever you've defined this root point of where you want your new meshes that we're going to create from the merging process to be defined within your stage. So you can define them in any of these places here under the stage root prim, parent X form, or different kind tagging that you can use depending on how complex you want to get. We have a lot of options there, and more's coming, and hopefully we can explain more in depth in our documentation in our tutorial coming up, like how this can be a powerful thing to help users do whatever they want. But it's a really kind of an advanced feature here, really like niche thing in this merge boundary, and can work in some other things. But we're giving the availability for users to define how they want to construct their USD stages, how they want to manipulate prims, how they want these processes to kind of result in, hey, this works. I have specific prim pathing, and I need to keep that for certain resolution for bound materials or for payloads or for some other things, or super complex niche stuff that maybe not a lot of users are using, but we have it available here. Here you can also define your output name if you have a specific one. By default, we just kind of write things as merged, which is in the default there, and we just give it an append, a number index at the end of that there. The strict attribute mode is kind of a unique feature here where we'll kind of compare a bunch of things, and if you enable that, we're going to have to iterate a lot more over things that you have defined beforehand for it to say, yes, I'm going to merge. This is kind of like another kind of advanced feature here that we're enabling, and we have additional configurations that we can enable here. Maybe a little bit more than this overview here, but essentially the defaults here, what we recommend, things will work out of the box for you. And so think of that in each of these processes throughout that we can help you through all those things that's going to have kind of a consistent user flow and UX within these operations. The next one, we're going to have a compute pivot. So sometimes when you export out of these different DCCs, you're not going to have the ability to define a pivot point, or sometimes they'll just make it at the origin. With this process, you can kind of batch center pivot everything. And this one, which we have found useful for kind of AEC workflows, where we'll get a bunch of assembly input data from different input structures from databases of how they assemble their USDs. And sometimes they don't have the ability to say like, oh, I'm at the origin, but I'm, like 2,000 units away. I don't know how to grab the transform there. So this is kind of more of a user feature that can be helpful just for interaction. Skeleton roots here. This is with animation, and it's kind of like the scratch of the surface of what we hope to do with some different animation optimizations and skeleton optimizations coming along. We just have different priorities and hoping to do more. This one kind of will help bind meshes to one skeleton within our scene, because sometimes it can be referenced, and we're just doing this to help reduce computation and memory usage, and can help with GPU scaling on top of that. So test it to see with all that, see if it works for your situation and if it can help improve your playback or some other things. A lot of these are there to see. It's very situational in these operations to see if they work with your data and what you're trying to achieve.
Awesome.
Yeah. Is there any questions? I'm sorry, I didn't know if you wanted to stop there.
No, it's great. I think
Cool.
This is really super helpful to everybody.
So in this one, again, we have we can add geometries, deduplicate geometry. This one is where we're going to create instances out of unique geometry. This one right now, we currently are doing an instanceable reference, or just a reference-based instancing. We're working on point instancing coming through as well. Basically, we have some logic when we have this considered each transform that's going to look kind of to how the referencing structure of your USD prototypes are, kind of what your composition structure is, and how do we kind of build logic out to say, okay, I see what you're doing with this prim, I want to reference it, and these other instances here that I can tell, like, oh, cool, this is a cube, I know this is a cube, and I see that you have a bunch of other cubes that we're just going to re-reference out with our material bindings and everything like that, so we can populate instances in this one. This process is really helpful for reducing kind of like footprint, like memory and GPU or VRAM usage. So it's been super helpful for if you're like constrained on your system, or depending on where you're having to run these loads, this can help kind of improve that structure there. And here we have the same thing where I kind of talked about the different methods of the available ways to instantiate the geometry once you've defined the ones you want to deduplicate. So again, they're there to there you can just kind of copy straight across. It's kind of like just a forced reference there, or you can do like a USD reference, which is the reference there. We'll re-reference it in from within the stage, kind of a self-referential there. And then the instanceable reference is the same thing as the referencing in the USD kind of layer structure, but we'll make it instanceable. Oh, fine coinciding messages. So missed one there. So we have, sorry about this one. This one we have basically you can see two meshes that are going to occupy the same space. We'll generate a report, and I'll show you how to do that there. It's basically kind of a debugging tool where you can load, we'll iterate over your scene if you have kind of like, this is good for something like if you have Z fighting or something that's going to like occupy the same space as the existing meshes that you have. So you can identify, we can tag those and say like, hey, these two are occupying the same space. You want to do something, is this a duplicate, is this intended? So hopefully this is a new feature for the next release that's coming out. So it's kind of more of a debug and reporting tool, but it's helpful interactively.
Nice.
Sorry for the slide here.
It's okay.
So point clouds is another one we have. We're able to process point clouds. Basically, point cloud data can be really big. We can do some pre-processing to kind of spatial partition those into different kind of chunks based off of a point amount, and then we can merge different point clouds into those things to help, because sometimes they're just from different LiDAR scans or scan data from depending on the inputs. They can not be great. They can be kind of crinkly, crispy, and kind of hard to work with, and so and really slow to load depending on in any form. And so we're hoping to do this, use this so you can pre-process that, so you can get kind of more deferred loading on your point clouds, where you can we'll create USDs off of these, and you can create your composition structure and how you want to layer those new things depending on your requirements. It's the same thing here. It's that you can add all that merging point clouds, right? We'll partition those into the section divided by these chunks. You can decide if you want to partition it in chunks or if you just want to merge all of them. Depends on your usage there, and then you can define a number here to see how many points you want to merge per chunk. Compute extents, we have this, which is a nice thing that we can use for, that's a USD feature, so that each USD prim is going to have an extents value. Sometimes they're not calculated. We can run this one to help with deferring or loading depending on how you're rendering or how your render delegate is consuming the extents. We can use these to help kind of query. We can kind of make, if a prim has an extent, we can query that extent and kind of use it as kind of a quick bounding box to see how we can traverse some of those things, or it can be helpful depending on where you're consuming this data. Having an extent will be helpful for your data to understand, oh, okay, I can kind of get a gross bounding volume of what this is without having to really create a BVH model for your data. Optimized material. This one is great at reducing prim count for your materials. Sometimes in DCCs or CAD programs, they'll create a new material per mesh, and sometimes they're the same thing, and sometimes they'll just duplicate across, depending on like a library. We have a bunch of different options here that we can deduplicate, which is a really good one. So let's say like, hey, I've got like 200,000 materials within my scene, but only 40 are unique. We'll remove everything but those 40 and rebind everything back to the different materials that we're kind of pointing to those additional duplicates. Converge color is the one we talked about earlier, is where we can convert our materials to a color thing, or to a display color, sorry, so that you can just have that on, live with the material or the mesh, so you don't necessarily have to have a bound material to that. Depending on how you're consuming that may be okay. If not, you can also use some of that display color to drive other shader functions, depending on how complex or how your setup for materials is there. We also have the option to remove any materials that are just an additional in your scene that are not bound to any prims. So it can kind of be like a gross cleanup to go, hey, I've got all these materials that just came with it. Sometimes we're using those to switch out for variants or some other things, but if I don't need them, depending on how I can consume them, I can remove all of those. So leaf X forms. So this operation is kind of a cleanup operation. When we run some of the other merging or kind of collapsing operations, sometimes we'll leave behind X forms from the original location of where those prims are. And so you have the option to delete any of those. You can definitely retain those, but those are kind of just like empty prims that are living with your scene. You can delete those and it can improve kind of your prim count. That'll help with like stage traversal, depending on what you're doing, and it helps with speed and loading and some other stuff like that. I usually recommend this because it helps with just speeding up things in general, and it just kind of is a cleanup. We have a new function that's coming out in this one. This one's split meshes. So now we have, just like we have combined mesh or merge meshing, we have splitting, so that you can split any of your current combined meshes. If they're vert welded, they won't split. So it's anything that are just kind of their own entities. You can split out from those points. You can either choose as a geometry subset within the new mesh of how you're going to have the parenting structure on the new resulting meshes, or you can have that as a new individual mesh, depending on what works best for you. Weld points, it's basically how we are computing the indices to help with the face vertex index and some other things with primvars. It can help us. It's kind of a debug component here. By default, we don't weld anything. But basically, sometimes when you split something, you can have two vertices that occupy the same space. Sometimes you can have NANs or other things, depending on other things' construction. That may help in your instance, and it may help clean up more of the stage that you're looking for and part of the operation you're trying to achieve. This one's a new one as well. We have kind of a bulk UV generator within this one. Didn't put all the other slides in, but basically we have different of projection types. So we've got cube, planar, spherical, cylindrical, and triplanar as our projection types. This one's kind of more targeted for, hey, I just need some UVs because nothing was generated for it. And we're calculating to give you kind of a normalized UV with normalized textile density that you can define through the scale factor. You can use world space scale to kind of influence how dense that tensile density is, depending on like how much a geometry prim is scaled and has a scale matrix on it. And I'll show in a demo that we have coming up the different kind of things there. But this one's helpful that we run in a batch tool to say, hey, I have all these things I need to generate UVs so I can apply some materials from material library that I may have in Omniverse. So we're happy about this, and hopefully it'll be useful to different users who can create UVs where they can't in their source DCC. Python script, this is another one. So we have one if you want to create your own custom usage of what you want to do throughout the processing stack. If you're like, I have something I want to run beforehand before I want to run, let's say like a merge or a split. I need to do some specific handling because my scene has some specific requirements. This can be run in a spec because like in the scene optimizer, you can run things individually as one process, or you can do like an execute all where it'll process everything kind of in a sequential order from a stack. So this way you can say, I need to do some specific handling. I need to do it here and I have to write a custom script for it. This is available to you there, besides having to do it kind of like in the script editor and then figure out how to run as something else. You can just it helps kind of automate within the GUI. If you have specific things, kind of some helper tools for like, some pipeline developers or some technical artists, depending on what they're wanting to do, this can be super helpful. And I have an example here of saying, I have instances created and I want to de-instance something because I want to merge it. Sometimes, we'll get something that's already instanced and someone's like, well, I don't need the instances. I just need these certain components. So in order to merge, we have to de-instance it. So we have this script here to help us like run that. We can put that in there and then run the rest of our stack. It can help us go, oh, cool. I don't have to wait for this to complete. I can just wait for everything to be done. And then I'm done with processing my data. So how do I know which options to pick? We just went over everything. Dr. Steve Rolls will just tell us, I don't know.
I don't know, you dingus.
Right. And so we have to consider kind of what's in my scene. What am I trying to solve for? What am I looking to, improve in my experience or for my users that may be using this data? So a lot of times what we see a lot of this is like, okay, I've got a lot of stuff in my scene. How do I get this to load fast? It takes like 40 minutes for this to load within Composer. Well, sometimes, they also have trade-offs we'll talk about. So like with the first one, we can like remove materials, we can merge, we can prune. But with that, we also, when we combine a bunch of things, we're increasing our system usage, right? So it's going to take a lot more RAM, it's going to take a lot more VRAM, but it's going to load faster because we have a lot less prims in our stage, we have a lot less things to iterate over, we have a lot less to load into the render buffers, from what we're getting from the scene delegate into the render delegate. And so that helps there with just speed because it's like, there's less I have to process. So cool, I can run faster. The other ones, it's like, well, I don't have a lot of RAM, I don't have a lot of memory. Maybe I'm on a laptop or I've got very limited usage of what I can do. So we have, we can create instances, we can remove materials. This can help just like remove anything. It's like, okay, I don't have to draw, I don't have to create a shader, I don't have to draw this, I don't have to, this is an instance, this is just one instance here. The RTX and the GPU are smart and they know how to go, cool, I already have that memory, I know how to render that all over again. And there's other instances of this. These are just kind of the first generic ones. So hopefully you can kind of play around with it and try to think about that when you're approaching these things. Like, what am I trying to solve for? Because there's different recommendations we'd make for saying, like, am I just going to view this and consume this, or do I need to manipulate every object in this scene? So there's kind of divergent paths there. Here we'll have documentation. Please look at it. Hopefully someone can put that in the chat and that you can look at there. There's more information there. Provides a lot of the information I shared here. Just in details, it's super helpful. I spent a lot of time on that, so please use it. And that one's there. We'll jump into a live demo. Let me stop sharing this one. And we'll share another one. Okay. Sorry if this is going to look small. Okay. So we just have a regular scene open here. I'm going to open up just kind of a demo scene here. That's going to, live demo. Let's make it work. Basically, it's just a bunch of different cubes with different materials attached, or 3 different materials attached. This is just kind of more for us for debugging. We just went for a bunch of different objects so we could kind of test the speed and iterating over. You can find the Scene Optimizer under Window, Utilities, Scene Optimizer, and then it'll bring up this pop-up window, bigger, just to make things more easy for people. Here we can have the add different processes here. We have a configure menu, which is going to help with like generating a report, and I'll show you how that works here. And then we're going to, let's run the merge static meshes just to show everybody how easy it can be. Okay, I'm going to go, in our scene we have a bunch of these copies, right, of just meshes. And then we have 3 different materials that are just USD preview surfaces. So when I run this, when I hit, for this report, when I hit execute all, it'll run through this, it'll generate a report here. And when we have, we have 3 new meshes for merged by materials. Woo! Right? We also have a report here that shows us kind of like our stats of before and after of what's going on, how many prims we have. So hopefully I can move some of that. Okay. So in this scene we had like 10,021 total prims. Now we have 24. So that can be super helpful when you are saving things out, depending on what you're doing. It can make things load a lot faster. Well, we're going to click this and see if it works. Oh, yay. So basically we have a report we can generate too, where we track kind of more specific individual things if you're into all of this, and it can help you debug as well. Kind of like where certain meshes came from. So if you click where this mesh was, the green ones, we're going to see all of the ones that were green, where they came from, all their kind of attributes and components, what you want, and then how it translates into this. We generate a hash so that we can do how we do our bucketing. Same thing with this. We can iterate all those different ones so you can know if you need to trace back, if you need to split back, or if you need to reopen this from original, you can see what's going on, how's this working, where's this going. It's a super helpful tool. So now we have that one. We're just going to run this. In general, I'm going to go to the split meshes, see if we can get back to this. Cross our fingers.
It is what I'm very thankful for, Wendy's 4K streaming ability.
Yeah, if you're watching on Twitch and this is a little small, jump over to the YouTube channel and watch it in 4K.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, it's okay. I mean, this is, first of all, I wanted to interrupt you before, but I didn't want to stop
you.
From,
no, go for it.
This information you provided is so nicely organized and thorough. I think it's going to be a nice complement to the documentation, which we posted a link for a little earlier. And a lot of great conversation happening in both chats for Twitch and YouTube. So thank you, everybody, for jumping in this topic. We have a few questions there, but do you want to go over what you just pulled up first?
Sure. So this one, we just split everything, right? We have different stuff. So this one, you can also see like, hey, we split everything. The pivots are always at the center, right? It's just kind of showing, hey, this works. We split everything, just kind of going through different ones. See if this one will make center pivots now. If not, I'll have to reorganize stuff. We have some broken things. Okay. Sorry. Go for your question.
Okay, this is a great question. There's a few. I'll go back in time a little bit, but one of our great community members, Simply Chenable, just asked, so is it better to have fewer prims of higher poly counts versus more prims of fewer poly counts? Is there a general rule of thumb there?
It really depends on your scene. If you're going for speed of loading, the poly count's not going to matter as much. It's more about prim count, just because in Composer and USD land, we have to translate from how that's composed in the scene delegate, right, from your existing USD structure, how that gets translated into the render delegate. We have to take all that stuff and populate it so the render delegate knows what to do. And if you have a lot more prims, there's a lot more that render delegate has to iterate over. So if depending on what you're trying to achieve, for like load speed, that works, right? We have a lot less we have to traverse. But if you need that interactivity where you have to have things still accessible, that's not going to work in this instance, right? So it really depends on what you're doing. Also, be mindful of your system resources because Polycount will.
Oh, we got a freeze. We'll wait until Ben fixes that. We had a couple of small issues when we were doing the tech rehearsal, so hopefully he'll be back in a couple minutes. But these are some great questions coming in. I think that the documentation page is live, so please check that link out. We are going to Zia, too many cubes. Maybe that's what happened. Actually, Ben was having some issues with his electricity earlier in the show when they're in the warm up. So that's probably related to what's going on here. So he'll probably come back in a minute. In the meantime, we would like to just remind everybody that we're probably going to hit Discord after this live stream, so you could chat with Ben live in the community room #1. If you're not a member of the Discord, of our Discord, now is a great time to join really quick, because I think there's a 10-minute period where you can't engage on Discord if you're a fresh account. So you have 10 minutes to do that. So just go to discord.gg/NVIDIA Omniverse. And join our server, and we're going to head to community room #1. While we wait for Ben, one thing I wanted to mention earlier, that a great opportunity to talk about it now, is this just came in last night from a colleague on the NVIDIA team. We are looking for your amazing content to show off at SIGGRAPH. So the team's putting together a sizzle reel that is showing off NVIDIA RTX. So we would love to see what people are making, and the best way to find out more and to do a submission, because the deadline is actually on, I believe it's in 2 weeks. I think it's June 2nd. So we have to have your content in by June 2nd.
So is that general RTX or just for Omniverse?
It's general RTX. So
okay,
NVIDIA,
so we need Omniverse. We need the community. We need you guys to start sending
to
stuff
represent.
in. Right. Like, let's flood them with Omniverse content.
That's a great idea. So for anyone who's watching who's interested in submitting something for this sizzle reel, please shoot me an email. Edmar@nvidia.com, edmar@nvidia.com, and I will send you all the details right away. And like I said, you have a couple weeks, so it could be something you already have. You don't have to create anything new, but we would love to have your work included in that sizzle reel. I think it's going to be a great way to promote and celebrate you as a creator or developer. We would love to kind of include your work there, especially like Wendy said, from the Omniverse side of things would be awesome.
Because we want to represent the great community that you guys are. We love you guys.
We absolutely do. We actually have we created a channel on our Discord server recently called Share Your Work, and we used to have a regular channel called Showcase, but we actually created a new channel because the new channel is geared towards actually images and video. So it shows in a gallery format, which is awesome. So I've been really impressed by the stuff that we've been seeing there posted every week. So it's just a regular channel on the Discord, except it shows in gallery format, and you could kind of upvote and share comments on the stuff you're seeing. Yeah, check that out. I'm gonna remind people that are posting that channel about this sizzle reel opportunity. But that's going to be a great place to kind of get inspiration to see what people have been posting lately. And like I said a little earlier, we have a community challenge that's in progress right now. So we have that channel for community challenges. That we have some other images that people are posting. Some of them are works in progress, some of them are completed, and some of them are just plain fun. Like Frank Shang's image he posted last night of the Lord of the Rings scene. So that would be very good. Let me see. So Zia Ideas is asking, does using GAN creations like Midjourney count? That's a good question. So I'll have to check. I think that if I recall from reading the note last night, I don't think that was mentioned at all. But I will double check. And what is coming at Computex? So the big thing at Computex is the keynote, which is going to have a bunch of things in it. And to be totally transparent, I don't even know what's going to be discussed at I don't think Wendy does either.
Top secret.
It is pretty top secret. Like I said earlier, we have a bunch of different teams working on various pieces of the keynote, but usually what's typical at these keynotes where Jensen himself is going to be presenting is that he talks about the latest and greatest developments, discoveries, and new technologies. and a roadmap for what we're doing at NVIDIA. It's a really great event to kind of celebrate what's happening right now, but also give you something really good to look forward to what's we're working on for right around the corner. You know, my guess is that the AI will be discussed there as
Probably.
my guess.
Yeah, that's a good guess.
um, it's just amazing. And you know, I have my sister-in-law is an artist, and she's actually been really impressed also by the ability to develop you know, nice concept images
Yes.
to help inspire her
That's
artwork. So which I thought was pretty cool.
that's what I
Kind of
love.
like
That's what I use Midjourney for, right? Is to get composition ideas. It, you have this idea in your head of what you want to do. You can kind of type it out in Midjourney, and Midjourney like pushes out, 4 or so images, and you can get an idea of, oh wow, I really like the way that's going, or kind of take it in another direction. It's really slowed down my time of thinking and more time on creating. So I love AI generated art.
And we started a channel on Discord. Everyone might remember, several weeks ago, we covered generative AI in Omniverse. Mario came on and showed us the ChatGPT extension working with Deep Search, which is an enterprise feature, but he was able to show everybody kind of how it all works together as extension. You could fool around with the extension yourself and customize it. So we started up a generative AI channel on our Discord server. So if that's something that's interesting to you, definitely hop on that channel as well. The other channel we just opened up is, speaking of Deep Search, is Deep Search. So we opened up a
Yeah.
Deep Search channel. Deep Search is a amazing feature of Omniverse Enterprise. Ooh, wow, there's a light show behind me. Deep Search is an amazing feature of Enterprise, and a lot of people have been seeing some demos and some kind of show and tells of some of our live streams and in our documentation. So I know there's a lot of excitement about it. So we have set up a channel about it. If you have more questions about it, how what's required to be able to use it, and how it works. We have the Deep Search manager, Drew Como, answering questions directly in that Deep Search channel. So again, Discord is a great resource for that, to chat with members of the community, and also our developers will pop in as much as they can. If you need official support, something critical, you're using one of our apps or a third-party app, and you're not sure how what's going wrong, then you want to leverage the forums as opposed to Discord. So we can generate a nice ticket that's incorporated into our developers' kind of workday here, so we can get someone assigned to help you. But if you want to talk about it, come to Discord. But if you really want to solve, make sure we get a ticket on it and go to forums. That's the best part. Okay, so while we're waiting for Ben, I thought it might be a good chance to actually go through some of the live streams we have coming up.
Yes.
Let me see if I can share the screen here. But we have done a few things in the past couple of months which have been pretty awesome, in the sense of enabling other developers and other teams to start live streaming. This has been really fantastic. First of all, Wendy, as you know, is the queen of the stream, has really helped set the stage for the look and feel of our live stream, and we've been able to help other teams kind of learn from what we've learned ourselves. Like we said earlier, almost everything has gone wrong at one point in this live stream.
Yeah, if you go all the way to the beginning, it doesn't look this good.
It's true. So we have a lot of other teams, and here's Ben. So perfect timing. So let's finish up really quick with this. So these are the upcoming live streams we have coming up. So we have other teams leveraging this platform to be able to talk directly with the users that we have in the chat right now. Ad Event Calendar is the best place to find out where all the latest, because we usually put it on Ad Event first, and then we'll put it on Discord and put it in some other couple places. But this is like the Bible of the live stream calendar. So it's very easy to add any one of these live streams or all of them to your own calendar. Super easy. Just click on the live stream you want or subscribe to the calendar. So Isaac team has recently started doing. They're over a month in now. Every Tuesday they have their live stream. We have Ashley, who's live streaming twice a week on Learn With Me. We have Maddie, who's live streaming a couple times a week too, on Code With Me and in office hours, where he's answering your questions on the developer side of things. We have Eric, who's doing, and Jen, who pops in a lot, who is doing engineering design in Omniverse. Really great for people who really want to kind of work with CAD programs in Omniverse. Yeah, I think those are the main series, and I think there's another one spinning up. So I'll tell you guys more about that when it happens. But we have the star of the show is back with us. It looks like.
Sorry.
No, it's
No
okay.
worries.
It's okay.
I'm on my phone now, so hopefully it'll work.
That's okay. So glad to have you back. We definitely have a lot of excited people in the chat. So
I'm sorry.
glad
I
you're able to make
was answering
it
that,
back.
and I just mid-question was like, "Oh, I cut out. I'm so sorry."
That's okay. That's it. We thought it might happen because of the earlier in the tech rehearsal, but so it's okay. Okay, so where do we leave off?
Someone
we
asked
were
about prim questions about
Yes.
poly count. I don't know how much was heard or not, so I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
If you want to repeat the
Yeah, so basically the question was in generally, let me if I can scroll up a little bit. Is it better to have fewer prims of higher poly counts versus prims of fewer poly count? And you said it really depends on the scene. There's a lot of other variables there, so there's not really, doesn't sound like there's a really general rule of thumb. It really kind of depends.
It depends on what you're trying to achieve, what you're trying to accomplish, and also depends on your system usage if you're constrained by.
Yeah, looks like.
Yeah, he's.
You know what it is? Now I'm convinced. It's this question that's causing a problem.
It's this question.
No, he's back. He's back.
He's back.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. That's why these live streams are fun, because you never know what's going to happen, and this is real. This is actually evidence, because some people have been questioning us lately. We are not AI robots.
This
is
isn't
real.
a blue screen.
This is live. But yeah. Anyway, so look. Yeah. So you're. So Ben, you know what it might be actually. What might help? Because your video's freezing
Camera.
once in a while. You could turn off the video and just go on voice, and that should probably help.
Okay.
Yeah.
With a
Is
little
that better?
Yeah.
Is that better? Okay. Sorry. Basically,
No, that's okay.
Basically,
It's great. Okay, so we do have a few questions that let me see. We had one earlier on YouTube. This is kind of. You got
I'm
it?
sorry.
sorry.
Go ahead.
no, it's latency. I'm sorry.
That's okay. We can hear you right now.
Okay.
So this was a question that came up earlier in the stream when you were just starting your presentation. So to give you a little context, would be cool to have a mesh handling option to save it as a new USD scene as a separate file. I'm not sure if that's something that has been explored.
It depends on what you're trying to do there. We can definitely have that on. It depends. So currently we do that right now is we save that in kind of the same USD file, or we create a new flattened file depending on what you're using. From Composer, you have that ability.
No, little latency there. Are you still there, Ben? Okay, it looks like his internet may be kind of cutting in and out.
Yeah.
All right, so sorry about that. I'm sure he's going to be available in a second. If not, what we could do is we could schedule the Q&A part for another date, so we can have Ben live with us, and maybe on Discord, so we can do it maybe even tomorrow if the internet gets fixed up today. Yeah, that is the idea. Is Ben's such a good guy. He is a good guy. I agree.
He is.
Hey, he's back. Is he back?
I don't know. I'm trying.
Oh, I hear you.
I can hear you guys, but I'm sure I'm just tethering from my phone. So I'm so sorry.
I hear you. I hear you loud and clear right now.
Okay. Hopefully not the latency again. Please just tell me if you know. Could you please repeat the question again? Because I just feel terrible.
Oh, no, that's okay. So the question had to do with the saving mesh as a separate file, USD scene as a separate file.
So we save that currently as within the same scene because we're processing that. We just are going to create a new flattened file from that. But if you want to create a new scene, you can definitely create a little bit more manual. We haven't done the logics depending on how the layer structure is or the composition arcs. It can be pretty complex. So handling there, if you're trying to split out into its own individual kind of like file per mesh, can be hard. You can definitely script that if you want to, but we don't have that as an option currently.
Okay, great. We got your answer. So thank you so much. Let me see. I'm scrolling back a little bit
There's
because one.
where is it? Zia had started. Okay, so this is from Zia Ideas. If two prims occupy the same space, will we get to choose which one overwrites the other, or if there will be a Boolean operation of some sort?
Can you repeat that again? I'm
Sure.
so sorry.
No worries. If two prims occupy the same space, will we get to choose which one overwrites the other, or if there will be a Boolean operation of some sort?
That is a feature request we can probably put in or figure
Okay.
out. Right now, it's just kind of a debug feature, and you're going to have to manually resolve what you want to do with those, which can be hard if there's a lot of them within your scene.
So next question from, is it Simply Chinable? Hi, Simply. When you combine two assets with each having multiple material IDs, does it simply append the material IDs, or what's the designated behavior? I hope he heard me.
Either he's thinking because it's such a challenging question, or the latency is.
No, it's
okay.
latency. I need you to repeat it again. I'm
Yes,
so
please.
sorry.
No worries. When you combine two assets, each having material IDs, does it simply append the material IDs, or what's the designated behavior?
Material IDs in what form? Sorry for clarifying.
Like if you have two assets, each one having a material IDs.
Like as an AOV pass, or just they have unique materials when they're saying this in this
I think
question?
it's unique materials. So if they have unique materials.
So if they have unique materials and you're trying to merge them, it will keep them. It will apply the material set to kind of a geom subset on those faces when you're creating it. So if you're merging things down without merging by materials, and you just want to combine everything, we'll apply those new materials on the prims on those faces as defined by geom subsets.
Okay, great. So here's a question from Zia. Great if we can assign multiple prims or assemblies to an extent. Also, may be useful to have extents with extents for organizational purposes, akin to like backdrops in node graphs.
Okay. You can definitely run that. With this one, you can define those that way. There's also scriptal functionality. You can define that from the USD API if you're feeling so inclined. Sounds kind of custom there for what you're trying to do on some of those components. But take a look at it. It may help for what you're trying to do if you're, because we're going to generate an extent per prim. And if you need to create custom extents in addition to that for kind of an assembly component, you might have to do that a little more from the top level X form or some other prim that's going to occupy that space from that bounding volume. It's kind of hard to answer without knowing full details, but that can be an approach.
Awesome. So a quicker question. Can we optimize based on textile density?
Currently, that's not there. We're just doing a scale factor on kind of some uniform UV structures there. So what you'll get is a normalized grid, and you'll have normalized UVs there, and you can kind of define the density there, so you don't have to do it within your materials or shaders of saying, hey, I want to tile so many times. You can set a kind of a density scale factor within the UV tool, saying, cool, I can get it this repeating or not currently.
Great.
It's kind of a really basic UV tool currently.
And one from Zia again. Do we have designatable regions of interest, ROI?
Not within this kind of tool set yet.
Okay.
You'd have to define some of their logics just because of depending on how that stage is assembled and where it is in kind of world space and what other compositions are going on. We don't have anything that's like a split based off of the region of interest yet.
Okay. I think I got all the questions. Edmar, did you see any that I may have missed?
No, I think that's good. We got a nice nice hello from the Philippines. So thank you for joining us today.
Sorry I didn't get to show off more of those tools. I'm having some technical issues, but we had
That's
UVs
okay.
and I was
know
going
what?
to show off some more.
We can, we can have you on again and
Sweet.
start showing off some of this stuff because it's important. Like this is Like, I want my
great.
scene to run optimally. I don't know about you.
And that's what we hope. And I think it's more of us, we're trying to evangelize, like, hey, take care of how you're creating your USD files, and like take note of how you create prims, how you organize things. Composition structures and arcs are really important, and depending on what you're trying to do. So just, it's more of like, hey, dive into USD, and this, if you don't know how to do that as well, we have some tools that'll help, but if you have some knowledge, it can kind of extend and make it more powerful for you in your work.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Do you think, does it make sense right now to jump over the voice chat channel on Discord maybe chat with some of the viewers for
We'll
2
see
minutes?
how long it goes. Let's do it.
Yeah, worth a try, right? All right. So we're going to get this party continued on the Discord server. We're going to head to discord.gg/NVIDIA Omniverse Community Room 1. You'll see us all pop in there in about 10 seconds or so. I want to thank everybody for coming. Thanks for your patience during the technical difficulties. Ben, thank you. I know how stressful that is. You did a fantastic job. You knocked it out of the park for your first live stream, for covering a really great tool for people.
Yeah.
Really,
Thanks.
and it's great that your team has put something like this together. I think it's going to be a huge, like Randy said, huge value for everybody. So let's answer some more questions if we can on Discord, and then we'll see everybody on the next live stream.
Yeah.
Check the calendar.
See you guys. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.